The rain tastes like copper and regret as it slides down my face, each drop carrying the weight of 1,000 years I've spent walking these streets. The scent of wet concrete mingles with something else, something that shouldn't be here in Lincoln Park at this hour. Fear. Raw, innocent fear that cuts through the perpetual numbness I've cultivated like armor. I pause beneath the skeletal branches of an oak tree, my enhanced senses picking up heartbeats that flutter like trapped birds. Two of them. Small. Impossibly steady despite the terror that radiates from their direction like heat from a dying fire. That's when I see them. Two girls, no more than 8 or 9, sit motionless on a wrought iron bench beneath the stone angel monument. Their pink suitcases rest at their feet like faithful dogs, rain drumming against the hard plastic with a rhythm that sounds almost like Morse code. The older girl's dark hair clings to her skull, while the younger one's blonde curls have gone limp and stringy. Neither moves, neither speaks. My dead heart would skip if it still could. They've been here for days. I can smell it on them. The accumulated layers of rain, exhaustion, and that particular scent children get when they're trying too hard to be brave. It's the smell of childhood's end, and it hits me like a physical blow. I've seen many things in my millennium of existence: plagues that emptied cities, wars that redrew continents, empires that crumbled to dust. But these two girls, sitting in defiant silence as the rain soaks through their thin jackets, represent something I thought I'd forgotten how to recognize. Hope. Desperate, irrational hope. The older girl, I can see her lips moving almost imperceptibly, counting. Always counting. Her left hand rests protectively on her sister's shoulder, while her right fidgets with something at her wrist. A bracelet. The beads catch what little light filters through the storm clouds, and I find myself stepping closer despite every instinct screaming at me to walk away. Walking away is what I do. What I've always done. In my world, attachment is a liability that can get you killed. Or worse, make you wish you were dead. I've survived this long by maintaining distance, by viewing humans as either meals or obstacles, never as individuals worth saving. But something about these girls roots me to the spot like iron stakes through my feet. The younger one shivers, a barely perceptible tremor that runs through her small frame. Her sister immediately adjusts their shared position, pulling the little one closer without breaking her vigil. They're waiting for someone. The certainty of it radiates from them like body heat. "Mama said to wait right here," the older girl whispers, so quietly I almost miss it even with my supernatural hearing. She said no matter what happens, we wait right here under the angel's wings. The words slice through me with surgical precision. I remember saying something similar once, a lifetime ago, to a girl who looked remarkably like the blonde one shivering on that bench. My sister Arya, who died waiting for me to come back from a hunt that lasted 3 days too long. The memory crashes over me like a tidal wave, carrying with it the phantom scent of wildflowers and the sound of childish laughter that ended too soon. Arya had been 8 when the fever took her. 8 years old and still believing I'd save her, right up until the moment her small hand went limp in mine. I shake my head, trying to dispel the ghosts, but they cling to me like cobwebs. These girls, Ava and Laya, I hear the older one murmur the names like a prayer. They're not my responsibility. They can't be. I don't save people. I don't get involved. I certainly don't feel this crushing weight in my chest that makes it hard to draw breath I don't actually need. But I can't make myself leave. Instead, I find myself cataloging details with the methodical precision of a predator. The older girl's jacket has a small tear near the left elbow. The younger one's shoes are too big. Hand-me-downs, probably. Their suitcases are cheap, the kind you buy at discount stores when you need to pack fast and travel light. They're running from something. Or someone. The realization hits me with uncomfortable clarity. These aren't just lost children waiting for a parent who stepped away for a moment. The careful way they position themselves, the way their eyes constantly scan the area without seeming to, the practiced silence. These are children who've learned to hide. My hands clench into fists at my sides. In my long existence, I've developed a particular hatred for those who prey on the innocent. It's one of the few human emotions I've never been able to shed, probably because it was the last thing I felt before my transformation. Rage. Pure, incandescent rage at the unfairness of a world that devours its most vulnerable. The older girl's bracelet catches my eye again, and I step closer, using the storm as cover. The beads aren't random. There's a pattern. Red, blue, white, red, red, blue. Colors arranged with deliberate precision, not the chaotic creativity of a child's craft project. My breath catches as recognition floods through me. Morse code. The pattern spells out letters, and as I decipher each sequence, my dead blood turns to ice in my veins. SOS Room 12. The bracelet isn't jewelry, it's a message. A desperate plea for help encoded in colored beads by someone who knew these children might need to communicate without words. Dear God, I whisper, the prayer feeling foreign on my lips after centuries of silence. The girl's mother isn't late. She isn't running errands or caught in traffic or dealing with some minor emergency that will resolve itself by morning. She's in room 12 somewhere, probably fighting for her life, and these children are her only lifeline to the world. I pull out my phone, fingers moving with practiced efficiency. It takes 3 calls to reach my contact at Chicago General, a doctor whose gambling debts I once cleared in exchange for occasional favors. His voice is tired when he answers, but it sharpens when I describe what I'm looking for. Jane Doe in room 12? He pauses, and I hear papers rustling. Yeah, we've got one. Car accident 4 days ago. Massive head trauma, no ID, no family. She's been in a coma since they brought her in. 4 days. The same amount of time these girls have been sitting in the rain. What's her condition? I ask, though I'm not sure I want to know. Critical. Touch and go. We've been trying to locate next of kin, but... His voice trails off. Wait. How did you know about room 12? That information isn't public. I end the call without answering. My hands are shaking, actually shaking, as I stare at the 2 small figures on the bench. Their mother is dying alone in a hospital room while they keep their promise to wait under the stone angel's wings. They don't know she's unconscious. They don't know she's listed as Jane Doe. They only know she told them to wait. So they wait. The nobility of it breaks something inside me that I thought was already irreparably shattered. I approach slowly, making no attempt to hide my presence. The older girl's head snaps up, her dark eyes meeting mine with a wariness that speaks of hard experience. She doesn't wake her sister, but her hand tightens protectively on the smaller girl's shoulder. Are you waiting for someone? I ask, keeping my voice gentle despite the storm raging inside my chest. She nods but doesn't speak. Smart girl. Don't talk to strangers, especially not ones who approach you in the rain at night. Your bracelet, I continue, crouching down to her eye level. The colors are beautiful. Did someone teach you how to make patterns like that? For a moment, her composure cracks. I see the child beneath the fierce guardian, the little girl who's been carrying an impossible weight for 4 days and nights. Mama did, she whispers. She said the colors would help if we ever got separated. Room 12, I say quietly. Her eyes widen, hope and terror warring across her young features. You know about Mama? I nod, my throat tight with emotions I haven't felt in centuries. I know about your mama. And I think... I pause, knowing that what I'm about to say will change everything. Not just for them, but for me. I think she needs our help. The girl, Ava, I remember, stares at me for a long moment. Then she reaches over and gently shakes her sister awake. The younger girl's eyes flutter open, unfocused and confused. Laya, Ava whispers, this man knows about Mama. As I look at these 2 brave, broken children, I feel something I haven't experienced in 1,000 years. Purpose. Not the hollow pursuit of survival that's driven me for so long, but genuine purpose. the crumpled receipt in my jacket pocket, the one with the hospital's letterhead and the number 12 scrawled in a nurse's hasty handwriting, suddenly feels like it weighs 1,000 pounds. This isn't just a mystery anymore. It takes everything I have not to scoop them both into my arms right there on the spot. The rain continues its relentless assault, and I watch as Laya's small body trembles against her sister's protective embrace. The weight of their trust, fragile, desperate trust, settles on my shoulders like a mantle I'm not sure I'm worthy to wear. "Can you take us to her?" Ava asks, and her voice carries the kind of hope that can either save or destroy you. I nod, pulling off my jacket to wrap around both girls. The leather is too big, swallowing their small frames, but it's dry and warm from my body heat. "We need to get you somewhere safe first. You've been out here too long." "We promise to wait," Laya whispers, her first words since waking. Her voice is hoarse from the cold and damp. "Your mama wouldn't want you to get sick keeping that promise," I tell her, surprised by how easily the lie comes. I don't know what their mother would want. I don't even know if she's still alive. But these children need to move, need food, need shelter, and I need time to figure out what the hell I'm doing. My penthouse is only 6 blocks away, but it might as well be on another planet. I've never brought humans there. The space has been mine alone for decades, a sanctuary where I can shed the careful mask I wear in public. Now I'm about to invite 2 children into the heart of my carefully constructed world. The elevator ride to the 42nd floor passes in silence. The girls press close together, still clutching their pink suitcases, and I catch glimpses of our reflection in the polished steel doors. We look like a study in contrasts, me in my expensive suit, dark and imposing, flanked by 2 small figures who seem to shrink into themselves with each passing floor. My apartment welcomes us with warm light and the faint scent of cedar and old books. I watch as both girls take in the space with wide eyes, the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, the artwork that spans centuries, the kind of casual luxury that speaks of wealth accumulated over lifetimes. "Are you rich?" Laya asks with the brutal honesty of childhood. "Yes," I answer simply. There's no point in lying. "Good," Ava says, and there's something fierce in her voice. "Rich people can help mama better than poor people can." The pragmatism in her words cuts deep. She's right, of course, but hearing it from an 8-year-old's lips makes my chest ache in ways I'd forgotten were possible. These children have learned lessons they should never have needed to know. I show them to the guest bathroom, provide towels and a change of clothes from my emergency stash, items I keep for the rare occasions when my business dealings require overnight accommodation for associates. The clothes are too big, but they're clean and dry. While they wash and change, I make phone calls. Real ones this time, not the careful inquiries of someone gathering information. I call in favors, rattle cages, and make it clear that I need answers about the Jane Doe in room 12 at Chicago General. Now. The girls emerge from the bathroom looking impossibly small in my oversized shirts. I've ordered food, soup, sandwiches, things that will warm them from the inside out. And as we sit around my dining table, I study their faces in the soft light. "Tell me about your mama," I say gently. Ava's hand finds her bracelet again, fingers working over the beads like a rosary. "She's a nurse. She helps people get better when they're hurt." "She was taking us somewhere safe," Laya adds, her voice barely above a whisper. "Bad men were looking for us." The words hit me like a physical blow. I lean forward, every protective instinct I possess suddenly blazing to life. "What bad men?" The girls exchange a look that speaks of shared secrets and shared fears. It's Ava who finally answers. "The ones who hurt Daddy." The room goes cold around us, and I feel something dangerous unfurl in my chest. It's an old feeling, one I recognize from the early days after my transformation, when the world seemed full of wrongs that needed righting. Before I learned that caring too much could destroy you. "Your father," I say carefully. "What happened to him?" "He died." Laya says matter-of-factly, but I catch the way her small hands clench into fists. Mama said it was an accident, but we heard her on the phone. She was scared. She packed our bags in the middle of the night, Ava continues. Said we had to go on a trip, just for a little while. I close my eyes, pieces of a horrific puzzle falling into place. A nurse with 2 children, running in the middle of the night from men who killed her husband. A car accident that leaves her unconscious and unidentified while her daughters sit in the rain, keeping a promise they don't understand. This isn't just about helping 2 lost children anymore. This is about justice, about protection, about standing between the innocent and those who would devour them. My phone buzzes with a text from my hospital contact. The message is brief but devastating. Jane Doe stable but critical. No change in 4 days. Social services contacted. Kids will go into system if no family found by end of week. End of week. 3 days from now. I look at Ava and Laya, still working their way through bowls of soup with the methodical determination of children who've learned not to waste food, and feel something inside me crystallize into purpose. They've waited 4 days in the rain for their mother. They've kept their promise despite cold, hunger, and fear. Now it's my turn to keep a promise. We're going to find your mama, I tell them, and the words carry the weight of an oath. And we're going to make sure you stay together. The heartwarming. Next morning arrives gray and unforgiving, matching the knot of anxiety that's taken up permanent residence in my chest. I've made arrangements, temporary guardianship papers that my lawyers assure me will buy us time, clothes that actually fit the girls, and a plan that feels both desperate and necessary. The race begins now, not just to find their mother. I know where she is, but to navigate the labyrinthine bureaucracy that threatens to separate these children from the only family they have left. Social services, hospital administrators, police reports that may or may not exist. All of it stands between Ava and Laya and their unconscious mother. I've faced down vampire lords, corrupt politicians, and supernatural creatures that feed on human terror. But as I watch these 2 girls eat breakfast at my table, their pink suitcases still sitting by the door like faithful sentinels, I realize I'm about to face something far more terrifying, the possibility of failure, the chance that my best efforts won't be enough to keep them safe. We arrive at Chicago General just after visiting hours begin. The hospital smells of antiseptic and desperation, a combination that sets my teeth on edge. I've spent enough time in places like this over the centuries to know that hope and despair exist in equal measure within these walls. The girls walk close to me, one on each side, their small hands occasionally brushing against mine as we navigate the corridors. I've become their anchor in this sterile maze, and the responsibility terrifies me more than anything I've faced in 1,000 years. Room 12 is in the ICU, behind doors that require special permission to pass. I use my influence, a carefully constructed identity that opens doors and smooths paths, to gain access. The girls wait in the hallway while I go in first, needing to see what we're dealing with before I expose them to it. The woman lying in the hospital bed is small and pale, her dark hair spread across the pillow like spilled ink. Machines surround her, their soft beeping the only sound in the room. She's beautiful in the way that speaks of strength and kindness, and I can see both girls in her features. Ava's determined chin, Laya's delicate bone structure. This is their mother. This is the woman who taught them to encode messages in bracelet beads and made them promise to wait under the stone angel's wings. This is the person they've been waiting for through 4 days of rain and fear. And she's dying. The monitors show brain activity, but it's minimal. The doctors have done what they can, but head trauma like this is unpredictable. She could wake up tomorrow. She could stay like this for years. She could slip away at any moment. I return to the hallway where the girls wait, their faces turned up to mine with expectant hope. How do you tell children that their mother might never wake up? How do you explain that the woman who raised them, who loved them enough to run in the middle of the night to keep them safe, might already be lost to them? She's sleeping, I tell them, which is both true and utterly inadequate. Can we see her? Ava asks. I nod, leading them through the doors and into the room where their mother lies surrounded by machines. The silence is profound, broken only by the steady rhythm of life support and the soft whisper of ventilated breathing. Laya approaches the bed first, her small hand reaching out to touch her mother's arm. Mama? We waited like you said. We waited right where you told us. There's no response. No flutter of eyelids, no squeeze of fingers. Just the endless mechanical breathing and the green lines on monitors that measure the distance between life and death. Ava stands at the foot of the bed, her dark eyes taking in every detail, the tubes, the bandages, the stillness that speaks of profound injury. She's older than her years, this child, and I can see her processing the reality of what she's seeing. She's really hurt, she says quietly. Yes, I admit. She is. But she'll get better, right? Nurses know how to get better when they're hurt. The question hangs in the air between us, heavy with hope and desperate need. I want to lie, want to give her the comfort of false certainty, but something in her eyes tells me she'll know if I'm not being honest. I don't know, I tell her, but I promise we'll take care of her. And each other. It's then that the door opens and a woman in a business suit steps in, followed by a security guard. Her badge identifies her as Sarah Martinez, Department of Children and Family Services. Her expression is professional but not unkind as she takes in the scene, two children standing vigil over their unconscious mother with a strange man who claims to be their temporary guardian. Mr. Hale? She says, consulting her clipboard. I'm here about the temporary custody arrangement. The words hit me like ice water. This is it. The moment when bureaucracy collides with desperate need, when forms and procedures determine whether these children stay together or get swallowed by a system that's already failed too many. The paperwork is in order, I tell her, though my voice sounds strained even to my own ears. I'm sure it is. Your lawyers are very thorough. She looks at the girls, her expression softening slightly. But we need to discuss long-term arrangements. These children need stability, not just temporary guardianship from a relative stranger. Relative stranger. The words sting because they're true. I've known Ava and Leia for less than 24 hours. I have no legal claim to them, no relationship that would justify my involvement in their lives. I'm exactly what she says I am. A stranger who happened to find them in the rain and now refuses to let them go. They need to stay together, I say, and there's something desperate in my voice that I don't recognize. And they need to be here when their mother wakes up. If she wakes up? Martinez corrects gently. Mr. Hale, I understand your concern, but these children have been through trauma. They need professional care, stability, people who are equipped to help them process what's happened. I look at Ava and Laya, still standing by their mother's bedside, and feel something break inside my chest. They've been brave for so long. They've waited and hoped and trusted. And now the system that should protect them is threatening to tear them away from the only family they have left. The machine monitoring their mother's heart rate suddenly changes pitch, the steady beeping becoming erratic. Alarms sound, and within seconds the room is full of medical staff pushing us back, working over the still form on the bed. She's seizing, someone shouts. The girls press against me, Laya burying her face in my shirt while Ava watches with wide, terrified eyes as doctors and nurses swarm around their mother. I wrap my arms around them both, feeling utterly helpless as the woman who means everything to them fights for her life just feet away. The seizure lasts 3 minutes. 3 minutes that feel like hours, filled with shouted medical terminology and the harsh sound of machines working overtime. When it finally stops, the silence that follows is somehow worse than the chaos that preceded it. The doctor approaches us with the careful expression of someone delivering news no one wants to hear. The seizure indicates increased intracranial pressure. We need to take her into surgery immediately. Will she be okay? Laya asks, her voice muffled against my shirt. The doctor's eyes meet mine over her head, and I see the answer there before he speaks. We'll do everything we can. Everything we can. The universal language of medical uncertainty, the phrase that means hope, is fading but not yet extinguished. As they wheel their mother away toward surgery, I feel the full weight of my promise settling on my shoulders. I told these children I would take care of their mother and each other. But watching her disappear through operating room doors, surrounded by people fighting to save her life, I realize I may have promised something I cannot deliver. Martinez approaches us again, her expression sympathetic but determined. Mr. Hale, given the circumstances, I think it would be best if the children came with me. They can stay in emergency care until we know more about their mother's condition. No, Ava says, the words sharp and clear in the sterile hallway. We stay with him. Sweetheart, he's not family. He found us, Laya interrupts, finally lifting her face from my shirt. He found us when nobody else did. He's family now. The simple declaration hits me like a physical blow. In the span of a day, I've gone from solitary predator to reluctant guardian to something I never thought I could be again. Family. But family isn't just about love or good intentions. It's about legal rights, about having the power to make decisions and protect the people you care about. And right now, I have neither. I'll fight this, I tell Martinez quietly. In court, through proper channels. But they're not leaving with you today. She studies me for a long moment, taking in my expensive suit, my confident bearing, the way the girls instinctively press close to me. You have 48 hours, she finally says. File the proper paperwork, establish your relationship to these children, prove you can provide for them. After that, they go into the system. 48 hours, 2 days to navigate legal procedures that usually take weeks, to prove I'm worthy of caring for children I barely know, to convince a system built on bureaucracy that sometimes love matters more than paperwork. As Martinez leaves, I look down at Ava and Laya. They're watching me with the kind of trust that could break hearts or move mountains. They believe I can fix this. They believe their mother will wake up and everything will be okay. I wish I shared their faith. The surgery takes 6 hours. 6 hours of pacing hospital corridors, making phone calls to lawyers and judges, and anyone who might be able to help, watching 2 little girls try to be brave while their world hangs in the balance. When the surgeon finally emerges, his face is drawn with exhaustion. The news is mixed. They've relieved the pressure on her brain, stopped the bleeding, done everything they can. But she's not out of danger. The next 24 hours will be critical. Can we see her? Ava asks. The surgeon nods. For a few minutes. She's heavily sedated, but she might be able to hear you. We enter the ICU room together, and I'm struck by how small she looks surrounded by even more machines than before. Her head is bandaged, and there are new tubes, new monitors, new evidence of the battle being fought inside her body. But she's alive. Against all odds, she's still fighting. Ava approaches the bed and takes her mother's hand. We're here, Mama. We kept our promise. We waited right where you told us. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, so slowly I almost miss it, the woman's fingers twitch. Just barely. Just enough to suggest that somewhere in the darkness of her unconscious mind, she heard her daughter's voice. Did you see that? Laya whispers. She squeezed back. The nurses confirm it. A voluntary response, the first one since she was admitted. It's not much, but it's something. It's hope. As we settle in for another night of waiting, I find myself thinking about promises, about the ones I made to these girls, about the one their mother made to keep them safe, about the one I'm making to myself right now. I will not let them down. Whatever it takes. However many laws I have to bend, or favors I have to call in, or enemies I have to make, I will keep this fragile family together. The woman in the bed stirs slightly, and I lean forward, watching as her eyelids flutter. For one heart-stopping moment, her eyes open, just a crack. just enough to see the brown irises that match her daughter's exactly. Then she focuses on me, this stranger sitting beside her bed, and I see something flicker across her features. Confusion, maybe, or recognition of something she can't quite place. I step back, suddenly feeling like an intruder in this moment between mother and daughters. My part of the promise is done. I found her, brought her children to her, made sure they stayed together this long, but watching those eyes try to focus, seeing the questions forming behind them, a new and terrifying realization washes over me. What happens to me now? The confusion in her eyes cuts through me like a blade, and I realize what she must be seeing: a stranger hovering over her hospital bed while her daughters sleep curled in uncomfortable chairs nearby. I step back instinctively, my hands raised in a gesture of surrender. "It's okay," I whisper, my voice barely audible over the hum of machines. "You're safe. The girls are safe." Her lips move, trying to form words around the breathing tube, and I see the panic starting to build in her expression. She doesn't know me, doesn't understand why this strange man is in her room, why her children are here instead of wherever she thought she'd left them. I lean closer, careful not to startle her further. "My name is Lucas. I found Ava and Leia 4 days ago. They were waiting for you, just like you told them to." Recognition flickers in her brown eyes. Not of me, but of the truth in my words. Her gaze darts to her sleeping daughters, taking in their 2 large clothes, the exhaustion written in the lines of their small faces. When she looks back at me, the panic has transformed into something harder to define. Gratitude, maybe. Or the desperate calculation of a mother trying to understand what price her children's safety might have cost. I pull out my phone and show her the picture Ava took with it yesterday. Both girls smiling tentatively at the camera, standing in front of my apartment's massive windows with the Chicago skyline stretched out behind them. It's proof that they've been cared for, that they're whole and unharmed. Her eyes close in relief so profound it makes my chest ache. "They never stopped believing you'd wake up," I tell her. 4 days in the rain, and they never gave up on you." When she opens her eyes again, there are tears tracking down her cheeks. She lifts one trembling hand toward Ava's sleeping form, and I understand what she's asking without words. I gently wake the girls, watching as they come alert with the instant awareness of children who've learned to sleep lightly. "Mama?" Ava whispers, and the hope in that single word could power the entire hospital. The reunion is quiet, made wordless by the breathing tube and the weight of everything unsaid. But I watch as Nora touches each of her daughters, faces with shaking fingers, mapping their features like she's memorizing them all over again. The girls press close to the hospital bed, careful of the wires and tubes, whispering reassurances meant more for themselves than their mother. "We kept our promise," Leia tells her. "We waited right under the angel's wings, just like you said." Nora's eyes find mine over her daughters' heads, and I see the question there. The need to understand how this stranger became the bridge between her unconscious body and her children's desperate vigil. Over the next 3 days, as she grows stronger and the breathing tube comes out, I tell her everything. About finding them in the rain, about the Morse code message in Ava's bracelet, about the legal battles I've been fighting with Martinez and the social services department. I tell her about the men who've been looking for her, how my resources and connections helped identify them as associates of her late husband's former employer, men who believe she has information about financial irregularities that died with him. What I don't tell her is how completely her daughters have rewired something fundamental in my nature. How Leia's quiet trust and Ava's fierce protectiveness have awakened protective instincts I thought were lost to centuries of careful emotional distance. How the sound of their laughter in my apartment has made spaces I've inhabited alone for decades suddenly feel like home. I don't tell her how terrified I am that she'll recover completely and take them away from me, leaving me with nothing but empty rooms and the echo of small voices calling my name. The crisis comes on day 6, when Martinez returns with finalized paperwork and a court order. Nora is awake, but still weak. still connected to monitors that track her recovery in real time. The girls are curled up on either side of her hospital bed, reading aloud from a book I bought them about a family of mice who live in the walls of a great house. Mrs. Chen, Martinez says, and I realize this is the first time I've heard Nora's last name spoken aloud. I'm Sarah Martinez from Child Protective Services. We need to discuss the custody arrangements for your daughters. The temperature in the room seems to drop 10 degrees. I watch as Nora's hand tightens protectively around Ava's, as her eyes dart between Martinez and me with growing understanding of what this conversation means. My daughters stay with me, she says, and though her voice is still hoarse from the breathing tube, there's steel in it. Of course, eventually. But you're in no condition to care for them right now, and Mr. Hale's temporary guardianship was always meant to be short-term. Martinez consults her clipboard with practiced efficiency. I have a lovely foster family lined up, experienced with trauma cases, excellent references. No. The word cuts through the room like a blade. They stay with Lucas. I feel something fundamental shift in my chest at hearing her use my first name, at the absolute certainty in her voice. But Martinez shakes her head with the patient expression of someone who's had this conversation 1,000 times. Mrs. Chen, Mr. Hale is a single man with no experience with children. He has no legal relationship to your family, no training in childcare, no. He found them. Nora's voice grows stronger with each word. When everyone else gave up, when the system failed them, he found them. He kept them safe. He brought them to me. That doesn't qualify him for long-term custody of traumatized children. I watch this exchange feeling like a spectator at my own trial. Everything Martinez says is true. I am unqualified, inexperienced, legally irrelevant. I have no claim on these children beyond the emotional bonds forged in crisis, no right to the role I've somehow grown into. But then Laya slips her small hand into mine, and Ava looks up at me with eyes that hold absolute trust, and I realize I'm done being a spectator in my own life. Actually, I say, and my voice carries the quiet authority of someone used to boardroom negotiations and high-stakes decisions. I think you'll find my qualifications more extensive than they appear. I pull out a folder I've been carrying for days, documents my lawyers have been preparing around the clock. Completed background checks, character references from sitting judges and hospital administrators, financial statements proving I can provide for them indefinitely. I hand Martinez the papers with steady hands. I've also purchased a house, 6 bedrooms, excellent schools district, close to the hospital so they can visit their mother daily during her recovery. Martinez flips through the documents with growing surprise. Mr. Hale, this is comprehensive, but purchasing a house doesn't automatically qualify you for guardianship. No, but this does. I produce the final document, the one that required calling in every favor I've accumulated over decades of careful relationship building. Emergency custody order signed by Judge Catherine Walsh an hour ago. It grants me legal guardianship pending Mrs. Chen's full recovery, with the stipulation that the children maintain daily contact with their mother and that all parties agree to family counseling. The silence that follows is deafening. Martinez stares at the document, clearly recognizing the official seal and signature, while Nora watches me with an expression I can't quite read. The girls look between all the adults, sensing the importance of this moment without fully understanding it. You bought a house? Ava asks quietly. I bought a home, I correct, and the distinction feels crucial. For all of us, if that's what your mother wants. Nora's eyes fill with tears, and for a terrifying moment I think she's going to refuse, that she'll tell me she's grateful for everything I've done, but now that she's awake, now that the immediate crisis has passed, she doesn't need a stranger playing father to her children. Instead, she reaches out and takes my free hand, the one not already claimed by Laya's small fingers. The girls told me what you said to them that first night, she whispers, that sometimes families aren't born, they're chosen. The words hit me like a physical blow, because I remember saying them during one of our late-night conversations about their father, about loss and hope, and the different ways people can love each other. I hadn't realized they were listening so carefully, or that they would repeat those words to their mother. They chose you, Nora continues, her voice gaining strength. And if you'll have us, I choose you too. The world tilts sideways. In the space of a heartbeat, everything I thought I understood about my life, my purpose, my carefully constructed emotional barriers, crumbles and rebuilds itself around this moment. Around the trust of two little girls and the faith of their mother. Around the terrifying, exhilarating possibility of being part of something bigger than my own survival. Yes, I say, and the word carries the weight of every promise I've ever made. Yes, I'll have you. Martinez clears her throat, reminding us that bureaucracy doesn't pause for emotional revelations. The court order is legitimate, she admits reluctantly. But there will be regular check-ins, evaluations, requirements for family counseling and parenting classes. Whatever it takes, I tell her, and mean it completely. After Martinez leaves, after the paperwork is filed and the immediate crisis has passed, I find myself alone with Nora while the girls explore the hospital's small gift shop with the $5 bills I gave them. The afternoon light streaming through the window catches the silver threads in her dark hair, and I'm struck again by how young she looks despite everything she's endured. Why? She asks simply. It's the question I've been expecting. The one I'm not sure I can answer honestly without revealing things about myself that would sound impossible to human ears. How do I explain that finding her daughters in the rain awakened something in me I thought was lost forever? How do I tell her that their trust has made me want to be worthy of it, has made me remember what it felt like to care about something beyond my own immortal existence? Because they deserved better than what the world was offering them, I say finally. And because I pause, searching for words that feel inadequate. Because somewhere along the way, taking care of them started taking care of something broken in me. She nods as if this makes perfect sense, as if she understands the mathematics of healing and how it rarely follows logical patterns. The girls said you have nightmares too. I'm surprised by how easily she's read between the lines of whatever they told her about our late-night conversations, about the times they found me staring out windows, at 3 a.m, wrestling with memories and regrets I couldn't explain. Sometimes, I admit. What do you dream about? The question hangs between us, intimate and dangerous. I could deflect, could give her some vague answer about work stress or general anxiety. Instead, I find myself telling her the truth. I dream about all the times I walked past people who needed help, all the moments I chose my own safety over someone else's need. I meet her eyes, seeing my own reflection there. I dream about becoming the kind of person who doesn't see suffering, because it's easier than being the kind of person who does something about it. She's quiet for a long moment, processing this confession with the careful attention of someone who understands that truth-telling is a gift that shouldn't be wasted. And now? She asks. Now I dream about failing them, about not being strong enough or good enough to keep them safe. I look toward the gift shop where I can hear Ava's laughter drifting down the hallway, about betraying the trust they've placed in me. You won't, Nora says with quiet certainty. I've seen how they look at you. I've seen how you look at them. You're not going to fail them. How can you be so sure? She smiles, and it transforms her entire face, making her look less like a trauma patient and more like the woman who raised 2 remarkable daughters under impossible circumstances. Because walking away would have been easier. Staying is the hard choice, and you've been making hard choices for 6 days straight. That evening, after the hospital settles into its nighttime rhythm, I sit in the chair beside Nora's bed while the girls sleep curled together on the small couch. The steady beeping of monitors provides a mechanical lullaby, and I find myself thinking about time. How 6 days can reshape a life. How quickly strangers can become family. How love sometimes arrives like a storm when you least expect it. Lucas, Nora whispers, and I realize she's been watching me in the dim light. Yeah? Thank you for finding them, for keeping them together, for. She pauses, searching for words. For choosing us. The phrase echoes in my mind long after she falls asleep. Choosing us. As if love is always a decision, always an active verb rather than a passive emotion. As if the bonds we forge in crisis can become the foundation for something lasting and real. 3 weeks later, I'm standing in the kitchen of our new house, not my house, our house, watching Ava help her mother make pancakes while Laya sets the table with the careful precision of someone determined to get every detail right. Sunlight streams through windows that overlook a backyard where we've already installed a swing set and marked out space for a garden. The house still smells like fresh paint and new beginnings. We've filled it slowly, together, choosing furniture and colors and small decorations that reflect all of us rather than just my solitary preferences. The girls each have their own room, but most nights they end up piled together in the den, reading or watching movies, or just talking in the way that families do when they're learning how to be a family. Nora is stronger now, cleared for light duty at the hospital and determined to rebuild the life that was shattered by her husband's death and the violence that followed. She moves through our shared spaces with growing confidence, adding touches that make cold rooms warm, photographs on the mantle, books scattered on coffee tables, the kind of gentle chaos that comes with people who are comfortable enough to leave traces of themselves everywhere. The legal battles are over. Martinez has closed our case file, satisfied that the girls are thriving in stable, loving care. The men who were hunting Nora have been arrested, charged with her husband's murder and a dozen other crimes that my resources helped uncover. The threat that sent them running in the night is gone, dissolved by justice and the kind of protection that money and influence can provide when applied with focused determination. But it's the small moments that prove how completely our lives have changed. Laya teaching me to braid her hair before school. Ava proudly showing me her math homework and glowing when I tell her how smart she is. Nora falling asleep on the couch during movie nights, her head finding my shoulder like it belongs there. The nightmares have stopped. Not just mine. All of ours. Whatever healing we needed has been happening gradually, in shared meals and bedtime stories and the 1,000 tiny acts of care that build trust between people who choose to love each other. This morning, as I flip pancakes and listen to Laya tell her mother about the book report she's working on, I catch a glimpse of movement outside the kitchen window. A family of deer has wandered into our backyard, 3 of them grazing peacefully in the early morning light. I call the girls over to see, and we stand together watching these wild creatures who've found sanctuary in our small corner of the world. They're not afraid, Ava observes, her voice filled with wonder. Why should they be? Nora asks, wrapping her arms around both girls from behind. They're safe here. Safe here. The words settle around us like a blessing, like a promise kept. I think about the night I found them in the rain, how lost and desperate they seemed under the stone angel's wings. I think about the man I was then, walking past suffering because involvement was dangerous, because caring was a weakness I couldn't afford. That man is gone, dissolved by crisis and choice, and the transformative power of being needed by people who matter. In his place stands someone I'm still learning to be, a father, a partner, a protector. Someone who understands that strength isn't about standing alone, but about standing with others when they need you most. The deer move on, eventually disappearing into the morning mist that rises from the grass. We finish breakfast and begin the familiar routine of getting ready for school and work, the comfortable chaos of a family learning to navigate their days together. As I drive the girls to school, I catch Laya's eyes in the rearview mirror. She's wearing the bracelet that started everything, the one with the coded message that led me to their mother. But now it's just jewelry, pretty beads that catch the light rather than a desperate cry for help. Lucas, she says as I pull up to the school entrance, will you be here when we get home? It's a question she asks every morning, born from the fear that the adults in her life might disappear without warning. Every morning I give her the same answer, and every morning I mean it more completely. I'll be here, I tell her. I'll always be here. She smiles and climbs out of the car, her pink backpack bouncing as she runs to catch up with Ava. I watch them disappear through the school doors. These two remarkable children who taught me that sometimes salvation comes disguised as responsibility, that sometimes finding yourself means losing yourself in service to others. The drive home takes me past the park where I found them, past the stone angel that sheltered them through 4 days of rain and waiting. I slow down as I pass, remembering how they looked that night, small and soaked and utterly determined to keep a promise they didn't fully understand. Today the park is full of life, children playing on swings, parents pushing strollers along winding paths, joggers and dog walkers, and all the ordinary people living their ordinary lives. The stone angel presides over it all with serene indifference, her wings spread wide in eternal protection. I think about promises, the ones we make to others and the ones we make to ourselves, the ones that break us and the ones that save us, the ones that transform us from who we were into who we need to become. At home, Nora is getting ready for her shift at the hospital, moving through our shared space with the easy familiarity of someone who belongs here. She looks up as I enter, smiling in a way that still catches me off guard with its warmth. "Good morning," she says, and the simple greeting carries the weight of everything we've built together. "Good morning," I reply, and lean down to kiss her forehead in the gentle way that's become our morning ritual. Outside, the sun burns away the last of the morning mist, revealing a day full of possibility. In a few hours, I'll pick up the girls from school and help them with homework, and listen to their stories about friends and teachers and all the small dramas of childhood. Tonight we'll have dinner together and maybe watch a movie, curled up on the couch like we've been doing this forever. It's an ordinary life, the kind I never thought I wanted or deserved. But as I watch Nora gather her things for work, as I imagine the sound of the girls' voices filling the house when they return from school, I realize this ordinary life is the most extraordinary thing I've ever been part of. The rain that brought us together has been replaced by sunshine that streams through windows of our choosing. The fear that drove them to that park bench has been replaced by the security of knowing they're loved and protected. The emptiness that once defined my existence has been filled with laughter and bedtime stories, and the 1,000 small moments that make up a shared life. I am no longer the man who walked past suffering. I am no longer the solitary figure who chose safety over involvement. I am Lucas Hale, father to 2 remarkable girls and partner to their extraordinary mother. I am someone who understands that the most important promises are the ones we keep, not because we have to, but because we choose to. And every morning when Laya asks if I'll be there when she gets home, I tell her the truth that has become the foundation of everything I am. I'll be here. I'll always be here. The morning light catches the dew on our garden, where we've planted flowers that will bloom in spring, and I can almost hear the echo of small voices calling my name, trusting me to answer, trusting me to stay. It's the most beautiful sound I've ever heard.